Right then, before we begin, a massive thank you to everyone who watched my last video about gaps in artists' catalogues, along with everyone who made their own video and then even subscribed to the channel after seeing it. I'm trying to get round to catching up with all of them. I haven't had much time lately, but I truly am humbled. Thank you, really, from the bottom of my heart. It means a lot. And secondly, in that video, I begged the people behind Cardiacs to get the unreleased album LSD, released. And somebody's broken in. And they must have listened. Of course they did. Because in that short space of time, the album has been finished and will be released later next month. Right then, on to this video. And it's a much shorter one than it could have been. I wanted to show you all my favourite live albums. Well, my favourite live double albums. As a classic live album, I think anyway, just has to be a double album in a lovely gatefold sleeve as well. Now, this means that such utterly fantastic live records like AC/DC's If You Want Blood, Motorhead's No Sleep Till Hammersmith, and even re-recorded in the East by Judas Priest just don't attain classic status. Well, not for me anyway. So even though I'm not a huge fan of live albums, I started going through my collection and pulling out those classic double live albums, mainly from the 70s, it has to be said. But the pile, it was just getting too high. So what to do? Well, I could have gone for a top 10 or a top 5, but that's cliche, isn't it? But then I thought, no, such albums are made up of 4 sides of vinyl, and therefore I'm going to narrow it down to my favourite 4 double live recordings. And that's now given me an idea for another video, maybe. I'll mention at the end. And so in alphabetical order and coincidentally date of recording and release order, here they are. Now, first up, it's Deep Purple and made in Japan, recorded in the August of 1972 in Japan. Now, I think this record can easily be slotted into the rite of passage category. It was an album that, as a young rock music fan, you just had to have. Your record collection simply was not complete without it. And of course, it's probably most famous for the renditions of Smoke on the Water and Child in Time. My personal favourite on the album, though, is the opening Highway Star and the sidelong epic that is Space Truckin'. Put it on and forget about it and just drift away. Only 7 tracks on the whole record, including a drum solo in the shape of the mule. But the only thing really lacking from it really is like loads of live photographs in that, sublime gold gatefold sleeve. I really enjoy looking at how the stage and the show, the lights and things looked while listening to the music. It's a tiny criticism, though, of an otherwise simply flawless recording. Secondly, we have another rite of passage record in the shape of Led Zeppelin, and the song remains the same. Luckily, the record does without the strangeness of the accompanying movie with its strangeness, really, isn't it? It opens with the classic offbeat intro to You Keep On Rocking. Rock and Roll, and rattles through a scorching live set recorded at Madison Square Gardens. A fun fact, named after its location and not the shape of the venue, over 3 nights in 1973. Highlights are, of course, that version of Stairway to Heaven, right up there with Smoke on the Water in the live music iconography stakes, and the sidelong epic Dazed and Confused. And there's another drum solo. Controversially, I prefer Ian Paice's The Mule over Moby Dick on this album. I think it just goes on for too long. Shoot me, okay? Now, some Zeppelin fans cite When the West Was Won as a better and more representative live document, but for me, the song remains the same as the definitive Led Zepp live album. Now, 1978 saw the release of my third choice, an album that is often touted as their best ever, and it is, of course, Live and Dangerous by Thin Lizzy. Now, it is effectively a greatest hits live record with not a weak track on the whole 4 sides, and it also has a fantastic iconic gatefold sleeve. I mean, look at that image on the front. That is the definition of a rock god. But beyond that cover, it's stacked with dozens of live concert photographs on the gatefold and on the liners themselves. It's something which really helps put you there front and centre. Now, it's hard to pick out a personal favourite, but if forced, I would always go for Emerald. Thank you, Dexter, with its incredibly heavy opening. Lizzie were truly one of the very, very best live acts, and I got to see the John Sykes and Scott Gorham version way back in 2003, I think now, at a tiny, tiny venue here in my home city. Only about 200 people there. Very packed, very, very loud. Some say too loud. Anyway, some even say that Live and Dangerous is the best live album ever. But it's my next choice that takes that accolade for me. And it is the 1978 recorded but 1979 release. Have you got it? It's Strangers in the Night from UFO. And that introduction, hello Chicago, would you please welcome from England UFO? What an introduction to an absolute barnstormer of a live set and record. Much like Live and Dangerous, this is a run through of the very best of UFO with not a weak track or a drum solo on the record at all. The iconic highlight track simply has to be Doctor Doctor, but personal favourites are Only You Can Rock Me, Love to Love, Rock Bottom. No, who am I kidding? I love them absolutely all from start to finish. There you go then, my favourite 4. Now, of course, there are so many others I could have picked, from my collection of classic live albums. I mean, I've got a signed copy of Queen's Live Killers, and there's a link at exactly how I got that above. Nazareth's Full House, Rush's Exit, Stage Left, Pursued by a Bear, Captured, the live offering from Journey, and many, many more. I could have picked Live at the Budokan by Cheap Trick even. All classic genre-defining records, but I wanted to keep the video short and therefore chose my favourite 4. That little idea that just came into my head, maybe pick the perfect 4 sides of live album from 4 different artists. Yeah, that could be an idea for the future. Anyway, until next time, and I am still planning that artistic album cover video. It's just taking longer to film than I thought. Until next time though, be nice to each other, okay? Ta-ra.